Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we got a fun and interesting project that we're gonna just build from scratch. I don't really have much of an idea on measurements. We're gonna kind of wing it. I have some of the measurements in my head, but not all of them. And what it is I'm gonna be building a spice rack for my wife. Her birthday's coming up in a couple weeks, so I'm going to go ahead and build a spice rack for her. It's going to be made out of all cedar. We both love cedar. We think it's beautiful, and when you finish it, it just really brings out the colors and the grain, so that's what I'm going to build it out of. And I know that it needs to be 16 inches wide to fit in the spot that we're going to hang it. It's cold and rainy today, so you're going to hear the rain hitting the tin roof. I will try to speak louder so you can hear me and understand me better. But hey, I'm dressed for the occasion. I'm ready to go. So let's get started. Let's figure this out together, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, so it's going to be 16 inches wide, and it can be upwards of 16 1/8 inches wide. So I have just a little bit of wiggle room. I could go narrower if I want, but I'm trying to fill the space that I'm going to hang it on in our house. So what I have here is the cedar pickets that I've ripped down, planed down. They're already pretty smooth, and I'm going to lay them down, and I'm going to make my own back panel. And it's going to be, these are 1 3/4 wide, so it's going to take about 9 or so to, if my math is correct. So I'm just going to kind of lay, oh, that one's kind of bad. I'm going to kind of lay these out because we're going to end up gluing them all together. I'm going to put the notched in at the top because that's the one I'm going to be cutting off. And another thing is, I'm trying to look for the same width. Like this one's really narrow and these ones are thicker. I'm going to try to stick to the thicker size so I don't have to do a lot of sanding or planing when I'm done. Because as you can see, they're not laying out perfectly. So it's going to take some work to make it work. But that's okay. That's what this channel's about, and that's what I'm going to show you. That one's kind of thin. So we got 8 there, and there's 9. So now, if I put these together, what's my width? 15 16ths. So I think I'll go with that. It's only a 1/16 of an inch narrower than what I need, or was going for, and it would be hard to put one more and rip it down perfectly straight, so I'll just go a little bit narrower. And I know the width of an average spice that we use, the McCormick, is about 1 3/4. They're round, but it's about 1 3/4 wide. And it says you could fit 8.5 in a 16-inch span. Well, I'm not going to cut a spice in half, so I have a 1/2 inch to move. So coming in a little bit, I don't think that's going to hurt anything at all. So now we got to put glue on all these, and we're going to glue them together and put lots of clamps and let them sit for probably overnight. Because of the bow in them and all that, they really need to stay tight together and let that glue set up. So let me get set up for the glue, and then we'll make our back panel. Alright, so I'm going to measure out something before I glue these together and see if I can get a better idea of the height that I need, so I could cut these down, make it a lot more manageable to glue these together. My wife's an amazing cook. She cooks all the time for me, and I really want to make a nice spice rack for her. I'm going to go above and beyond on this one. So I'm going to lay out just some scrap wood here to pretend like those are my shelves. And I know the shelves need to be 6 inches tall. Once again, the McCormick Spice is about 4.5 inches tall, give or take. Some of them are a little taller, narrower, whatever. Or shorter, sorry. So I'm going to do 6 inches because I don't want to go exactly like 5 inches and she doesn't have room to pull it out comfortably and she's fighting it. So I'm going to do 6 inches. I'll give her plenty of room, or even a taller spice. And then I'm going to lay out the boards. I'm going to do 3 shelves. Now, if I could put about 8 in one shelf, that'll be 24 spices. That'll be more than the usual spices she uses, plus some extra. And then we have a whole nother shelf, cabinet that we keep all the other spices in. So the ones that she doesn't use that often, we'll keep up there. But the ones she uses daily will be here. So I'm going to lay these out, kind of get an idea of what my height will be, and then we'll go from there. So we got one shelf there. Then if we go 6 inches, so another shelf about right there. Then another 6 inches, another shelf right there, and then we'll do, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, then we're going to go 6 inches again. We'll have that. So that's about our shelf layout right there. And then, like I said, I'm going to draw a design on the top. So I need room to do that, but like I said, I don't know exactly how tall that will be in the end. So we got 1 shelf, 2 shelf, 3 shelf. Let's do one more so I know where it ends. So another 6 inches. So that's where it'd be, and that's at 26.5 inches right there. Then I'm going to draw a design up here. So we could go 3 foot probably. To give me the room, I think I'll go 42 inches, which is 3.5 feet. 3 foot 6 inches. So, and that'll give me plenty. And then if I need to cut it off, I can. But I'm not managing the extra 3 foot we got up there. So yeah, I think that'll work. So I'll cut all these at 42 inches and I'll get back with you. So what I did is a makeshift stop block. So the table saw is higher than my miter saw. So it hits that right there. And then I measured 42 inches to my cut. And so now all I gotta do is lay the piece down, and it makes it easier to do multiple cuts. Since I don't actually have a long bench that I could do a proper stop block, this will work. So I cut one, it's 42 inches, let's do all the rest. Alright. So now we got 9 of these. So now we got an approximate height that is a little bit better, a little easier to manage. Alright, so what I got here is some just scrap pieces that I'm going to put on the bottom and top and sandwich these so I could clamp them down on both sides to keep them all the same. And then I also got the glue here. So what we're going to do is put one on top and bottom of each of these once I got them glued. And then I'll probably put one in the middle too, just to help the bow. And then we're going to clamp them together tight this way. Clamp these down to keep them all straight, that way they're not all offset. And then, yeah. So I'll show you how to do that. And first you want to lay them all up on their edge. I'm sorry about the rain, it's loud in here. Alright, picking them all up. Got my glue. And since I'm making a panel, don't be afraid to use more than you think you need. It's gonna squeeze out, that's okay. I'm just trying to put a nice bead on each one. Now to glue up panels, it does take some practice. It's not the easiest task to do, but it's better than plywood in my opinion. I just realized I didn't need glue on that one. That's okay, we'll just face it towards this one. And then just take it, spread it around nice and even. Make sure there's no dry spots. And if there is, add more glue. It's gonna squeeze out, that's okay. And now, I could have gone to Lowe's or my local home improvement store and gotten wider panels and only had to glue up one or two, but I have these here. It's a gloomy, rainy, cold day, so might as well use up what I got. And this will give me good practice for gluing up panels. So now, you're laying down. Grab some plants here. Kind of push them down, plant together. Now it's going to want a bow, and like I said, that's because I have no support. So I just want to clamp them first, somewhat snug, and then I'll put them on those boards. So now I got somewhat snug. Do that again. I have to put some more glue here. Struggling to pick this up. There we go. And now, I'm going to put a little more glue on each of these. And this is where it's hard to glue these properly. I got so many pieces. You don't have to go super quick, but you have to go pretty quick because it will dry on you. So now I'm going to squeeze these down real tight. Move these over close to the edge. And squeeze that real tight. And I'm going to try to keep that as flush as I can. Bear with me. My clamp's kind of struggling. There we go. Get that good. Then see if I can lift this up. Put that underneath it. Alright, so you can see that's a lot of work. It takes practice, it takes time. Obviously I fumbled a little bit on it, but glue doesn't dry instantly, but it does dry pretty quick. So you don't have a whole lot of time to prep. So what I suggest is have your sandwich boards ready. Have your clamps ready. They were just hanging on the rack, so they were close by. Have your glue ready to add more if need be. And then what I'm looking for is glue squeeze out everywhere. And it looks like I got it pretty much everywhere. Right here looks like I don't got a whole lot of glue squeeze out, but I can feel it on the bottom, so I know we're good there. And that's just telling me I do got glue in every crease. So some of them may be a little bit light while I was fumbling, but for the most part, it's good. Now, I could probably sand this, work with it here in about an hour or two, but I want to let it cure overnight and really let it hold as strong as it can. And I got as many clamps as I have clamping this, so I think we'll be good. So I'll come back to you tomorrow and we'll see where we end up. See how it looks. Alright. It's been about 24 hours. As you can see, I adjusted the clamps a little bit and put some more bracing in the middle because two of the boards really didn't want to line up quite right, but I got them lined up better with these braces here, and I adjusted these and looks like it's good. So we're going to take the clamps off and see what we got. Now I just kind of tap that and get that broken apart if we can. There we go. There we go. Now one way to help avoid that is you can either wrap it with tape, you could put wax paper around this. There's several things you can do. I didn't have any in here and it's pouring rain, cold, so I just knew all I'd have to do is hammer them off and then then I can grab my sander and planer and sand off any chips that came off. But as you can see, it comes off pretty good. It's just glue, so. But we have a panel that's strong and somewhat smooth, but does got some work to do. So I'm going to set these aside and clean up the table a little bit, and then we'll get ready to clean up this panel. Alright, you've seen me use this in other videos before. It's just an electric hand planer. It works great for little strips like this, because you could put it down flat, gets the whole thing nice and even, and all that. I've never actually used it on a big wide board where it's wider than the planer itself. So I'm going to sample that on this one, because one side's going to be the back, the other side's going to be the front. So if the back doesn't come out perfect like I'm hoping that this can do, then I'll sand the front and make the front look perfect. It'll take a lot of work, but that's okay. So we're going to try this. I'm going to adjust this down all the way down to the bare minimal where it's just barely cutting into it. And I'm going to go over this a few times and just see how it's doing and how it's cleaning it up. And then from there we'll see if we need to do this on the other side or go to the sander. So let's get to it. So that's 0 right there. And we're going to go 1/64. So that thing's just barely cutting. So we'll see how it does here. So it's working pretty good. As you can see, it's hard to tell even where the seams are now. But there is some glue that it's just not quite reaching. And I think that's because the board's maybe just slightly indented like that. So it's hitting the edge, but not there. So it's going to take some work. I'm going to have to keep going at it until I get all of it. And then once I get that deep enough, then I'll have to go over the whole thing lightly, and that way it's kind of smooth. But yeah, it's actually looking pretty good. This side on the bottom, you can tell it's kind of a little bumpy, but this side on the top is almost perfectly smooth. So the planer works pretty good. It just takes lots and lots of going over it. But definitely better than the sander. So I'm gonna stop this video here. I'm gonna work on this, do both sides. You see what I'm doing, and then I will get back with you. All right, so So I got this planed down, all the glue off, both sides, and then I also sanded it a whole bunch with just 80 grit sandpaper. I'm going to move down to 120 grit and maybe even 220 or 320 and get it really smooth. The only downfall to a hand planer on wide boards versus a regular planer that's like on a stand is you can see it has a little wiggle here. There's gonna be some thicker spots and some thinner spots. I just keep going over it and over and over again until I get it pretty close, until I run my hand and don't feel a whole lot of that. And then I sand it the best I can, and then I look at the ends to see if it's about the same thickness all the way. And as long as it's about the same thickness, really close, it's pretty smooth, then we'll be good. But that's the difference in a hand planer versus a regular planer. And now to make it a little easier, I could have went and got wider boards where I just had to glue two together, and then I wouldn't have near as much trouble. However, when you do that, you got whatever the grain of that board is all the way across. As you can see here, you know, it's like red, white, red, kind of a yellowish. It's got some red and back to white, and it's a lot more color change, which me personally, I think is more beautiful. But it's a lot more work. It takes a lot more time, a lot more patience, and all that. But I got this pretty uniformly thick all the way across. It's really smooth. I'm gonna sand it down even smoother. But now we're ready to do shelves and the sides. Well, guess what? It's gonna be 3 inches deep, and these are only 1.75 inches. So guess what? We have to glue 2 boards together. So because I had limited clamps, I couldn't do it all at once. This was priority, get this back plate panel all glued up. So now I'm gonna grab some more boards and I'm gonna glue them together. Just 2 of them is plenty, and that'll be my shelves and that'll be my side walls and all that. So let's do that, and then we'll be back on another day. Tomorrow I have to work at my day job, but we'll come back another day once that glue's set up, and we'll continue. Thank you. All right, so we're back. I got 2 pieces glued up, and you can see I have all kinds of props because these are so long that it was twisting it, and I don't want that. So I set up props to keep it all flat and level. But this has been sitting here and clamped for a whole week now, so they're more than set up. So we're gonna start taking some of these clamps off and see what we got here. I'm hoping that this is the last of the clamping for right now. They should be long enough to do my shelves and my walls. So I'm gonna clean this up and I'll get right back with you. All right, so got both of these cleaned up. Obviously got some glue squeeze out, but they're really smooth right there. So, and even on this side, so I really don't even have to take the planer to these. I'm just going to sand them really good. So I'm gonna grab some 80 grit, some pretty aggressive grit sandpaper, and I'm gonna sand these down, and then I will get back with you once they're sanded down. it down both really smooth. Alright, so next step is to lay down the back piece, and I've already cut this side flat and that side's still different lengths. So I've already cut this square, so this is the bottom, and now I'm going to lay out the shelves and figure out how tall I need the walls to be. So let's do that. So earlier in the video, you saw me lay this out and just get a rough length so I have a more manageable piece. Now we're going to get the exact length. So, or height, I should say. So we're going to go just scrap pieces of wood here. We got the bottom shelf at the bottom, and then 6 inches up from that, we're going to go to the next one. So that's the second shelf. 6 inches up from that, we got the next one. And then that's our 3 shelves. So we got 1, 2, and then 3 at 6 inches. So this one's just going to be a guide, because I'm going to do a design on the top, and I'm going to wood burn her name into it. I'm going to freehand draw it, and then I bought a brand new wood burner, don't tell my wife, and I'm going to wood burn her name into it. So I'm going to start the design about right here, and then do the design and then wood burn her name into it. So we need that length. So we got our 6 inch shelves, and then here's the top. So we're going to start the design at 21 inches. So we're going to start there. And now that we know our spot, go over here and go 21 inches. That's where my drawing is going to start. I still don't know the exact height because it's going to kind of go up and back down. So it'll be around here somewhere, but we'll just see once I lay it out. So that will be our walls right there. They're going to be 21 inches from bottom to where I start the design, because obviously I'm not going to do a wall around the whole design. So now we got these pieces. We're going to cut them down to 21 inches. So first, I want a perfectly square bottom. So we're going to just put it very where the blade touches it and just cut a sliver out. So now, got my square bottom, 90 degrees, go 21 inches, and we'll cut that. Then, put this one flush with that one, and we'll cut our second wall. So now we have our two 21-inch walls that will be just like so, and that'll be the sides of it. But we're going to set these aside for now because this is a flat board and I want to be able to draw that design and draw her name into it. So obviously I don't want all kinds of obstacles in my way. I don't want shelves and all that in my way. So I'm going to have it while it's flat and then draw it out. If I like it how it looks on pencil, then I'll cut it out and then I'll draw her name, and if I like it, then I'll wood burn it based on my sketch. So let me set up to get to drawing, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so to draw this out, I'm going to need a few measurements. So I'm going to take my adjustable square here and get some measurements. So we have our 21-inch marks right here and here. And what's going to happen is I'm going to draw a curve up, and then another curve up and over, and then there, and then down. But you don't want that all different height and all wonky. So obviously I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go to the first board on my curve, but I want those to match. So we're going to measure from here, and I'd say probably just up 1.5 inches. So we're going to go 1.5 inches there, and then double check it. Then same thing on this side, 1.5 inches there. Now I'm going to take my square and draw that out just lightly, because you don't want you have to erase that. So you don't want that mark in the middle, but that's just my first notch. So now I'm going to start here and just kind of freehand it up to there, do a nice curve to meet at the first board. Alright, so got that. That looks alright. Now I'm going to do this side. Now I could have just made the mark to the first board, but I want to make sure my line's straight all the way across and it matches up, just to guarantee that I'm straight on both sides. So now I'll look at that and see if it looks about the same. Now it looks like this one's a little bit different. I made a little bit sharper corner, so I'm going to kind of guide down just a little bit. Then you look at it and they look about the same. I like that. So now we gotta do the next one that goes up and over. So same thing, I probably want another 1.5 inches from here, and probably go to the next board. Then I'm gonna go over, you know, whatever the count is, 3-4 boards, and then down to there. So we'll take that measurement next. Alright, so now we're going to do that same hook on these. So we'll just start here. Now we'll look at it, and I like that. That looks good. So now what we're going to do is continue this as a big hump. Now the easiest way to do it, and I don't know if I have anything, but find something like a bucket or something round and just match it up and just trace it out. I don't know if I have anything like that in here, so I'm gonna freehand it and hope for the best. But what I want to do is get the center of this. So, and the best way to find the center of it, because I got 15 3/4, and I could figure out the math and do it, the best way to find the center is make that an even number. So now we're at 16, and you go to 8, and that is the center of your board. That's the center of this whole plane. So now that I have that, that's gonna be kind of my mark, except I don't know, all I know is I want a nice round curve right here. So what we're gonna do, I don't know if that'll reach. So I'm gonna put that, this part's hard, but I'm gonna pinch my thumb onto the straight edge and then just kind of go down. And that'll make that straight line straight with that. So now that I got that, remember this is just gonna curve around. And I don't know where my height's gonna be, so I'm just gonna kind of figure it out. Then look at it and try to make it maybe a little bit more arc on the top, just to and there we go. That looks pretty good. I like that. I think that looks pretty uniform. So I'm going to do a little more arc here. Yeah. Notice that side's a little straighter, so I'm going to do a little bit straighter on this side. And take your time on this, guys. It's not easy to do. Like I said, if you had a bucket or something, you could just trace it out, no problem. But now I'm going to make it darker, because I think I'm happy with what I got. I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now I'm gonna grab a jigsaw and I'm gonna cut that out. And then I'll sand it down real smooth and all that. So I'm gonna go grab a jigsaw and I will be right back. All right, got my jigsaw here. So I'm just gonna follow the lines, and the trick here is it's kind of a little bit thick blade, so you don't want to turn sharp because it'll bend and it'll get crooked. So you want to go just slow and easy if you have, sometimes you have to back up, return, that's okay. You're gonna sand all this anyways, just go slow and easy. So, let's do it. And now I'm not gonna try to turn that corner sharp, so I'm gonna just come in from here and start fresh. We'll sand that to get it smooth. So let me grab the sander and we'll work on that right now. And we'll use the orbit sander for this. Now, I do need to trim that up a little bit, and because this one, those look good, but that one's more straight than curved. So, see if I could trim that up a little bit. There we go. That's better. Yeah. A little bit more aggressive on this one. And this is where it just takes time, guys. It's not going to be perfect every time. Alright. That looks pretty good. So, as you can see, I like that. It's pretty good. I can't really complain about that. That's pretty good. So, there's our piece. So now we just got to draw out her name and wood burn it, and then we are ready to fine sand this and glue on the shelves and walls. All right, so I drew her name on there in pencil, and I prepped my wood burning tool, which just clean it off real good, and then put it in, let it heat up for about 4 or 5 minutes. And then I practiced on a little piece, and I transferred it to this spot, and it seems to be working good. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace it out. You didn't get to see me draw this because I was using my phone as a reference to how to draw her name out in like bubble cursive in this font. So I had to use my phone for that. But now that I got it, I'm kind of doing some lines. It's working pretty good. I'm going to start tracing this out. Now, it's a little bit difficult because with cedar especially, like this is really soft. So as soon as I touch it, it wants to sink into the wood because it's so soft. But then there's some harder spots, especially like a knot, that's gonna be really hard. So it's gonna take longer to burn it good. And it's easier to pull towards you than push, but sometimes you can't help it. So the trick is just try to go real slow, real steady, and so here we go. And that spot was real soft, so it sunk in right away. So that's why it's very important to not stop anywhere unless you see that it's not making your lines correctly. So this is soft, I could tell. And also the wood is going to cool the tip down a little bit as you use it. So every once in a while you need to take a break and let the tip heat back up. So, and you just hold it like a pencil, obviously not on any of the metal parts. And you just try to do nice, smooth lines. And I'll be honest, I'm actually new at wood burning. I haven't done a whole bunch, so I hope this turns out good because you only get one shot. You know, you can't just erase. Can't just erase these lines. They're pretty much in there. I think originally I was going to actually color all this in. But I may color in the heart, but I don't think I'm going to color in the lettering. I think it looks pretty good the way it is, so. Like I said, it's easier to pull than push. So what I like to do is kind of push real softly just so I can kind of get a line, and then I try to pull it into the groove. Because it makes a groove as you do it, so. And then take a wet rag and try to wipe off that wood. A sponge works best, but I don't have a sponge, so. But you want to clean off the wood every once in a while because it'll stop burning. You can also kind of rotate it over too. Let it heat up for a second. Like I said, it's a really slow process. So every once in a while, I'll take a block, scrap block, wipe off the excess wood. Then I'll get a rag kind of wet, wipe off the excess, clean it up, and then let it heat back up. And then I'll go again. It's turning out real good. I'm liking it. When you notice that it's just kind of skimming across the top and not really burning into it and making a groove, that's when you want to wipe it off, wet it down, clean it off a little bit, let it heat back up. Now, if you take these breaks, it helps you to get smoother lines. Like this one's a pretty bubbly because I wasn't doing these steps. So you can see I kind of do a line, let it heat up, do a little bit more. There you have it. It's drawn out. So I'll probably just put some final details in it. But I may color in the heart, I don't know. But there you have it. So next would be the shelves for this. And obviously the width of the shelf will be the width of this. So we got 15 1/4. We'll use this cutoff piece first. You want to waste as little as possible. Looks like we'll only get one out of here. So now we'll have our 3 shelves. But like I said, I gotta rip these down to the proper width. Now if I want to do just a little trim piece on the front, then I could actually go 2 inches because that'll give me, that's still enough for the spice to sit in there. But if I do like a dowel thing, it'll actually inset a little bit, and then it won't, I'll have to figure out that measurement from this. So I think we'll just do this at an even 2 inches. And we'll do just a little trim piece on the front of each one. I think that'll look good. So let's rip these down to 2 inches and then see how they look. So now we're at the table saw. We're gonna go 2 inches. Grab the measuring tape. Always double check it. 2 inches. I like that. All right, let's rip these down. Right. 2 inches. All right, we're good here. Let's jump back over here and see how they look. So now we're gonna have our 3 shelves like so. And then we'll have our walls here. Now we gotta figure out what to rip these walls down to, because they need to be flush with the back. So I might just take my pencil, push that down flat, and then make my mark right there. And then same thing with this side, push it down flat. Mark. And that will be what I need to rip it down to. So now let's rip these down. So now we have our walls. And what we'll do is we'll mark out these shelves where they go, and then I'm gonna glue them, but I'm gonna staple them from the back. That way you don't see any hardware. So, and then what we'll do is we'll glue the sides on and clamp it real good. And yeah, and then obviously you want the prettier side of the board facing forward. And you can decide what that is. Maybe this side, the red side forward, this side's the white side forward. Put the knot towards the back and inside. That way you can't see it. So that's probably how my shelves will go. So yeah, let's mark out our shelves, and then we'll figure out where they're gonna go. So obviously, this first one's gonna go right there. So let me grab the glue. So what we'll do, I'll put one of these shelves right there, just to hold this up flat, so I can glue this. And then we'll just put some glue on it. Got some glue. Alright. Then we'll kind of lift this up and set it down as good as we can on it. Then we will wipe it all off. Now we got one. We will measure the next one. look at the front. Didn't miss anywhere. That's two of them. Okay. Now glue squeeze out. There we go. We have our shelves. So it's coming together nicely. Now we'll want the walls up. And same thing. This one we will glue and clamp. We're not going to put any staples because I don't want any exposed hardware. Keep that there. And we'll clamp it. Alright, so I got it all glued together, put together, stapled on the back. So now I just cut some pieces that are just going to hold the spices in so you don't knock them off easily. And I will just glue those right against there. So just take your glue. So now we'll just glue these right to here and clamp them down. and sand it down, finish it, and it'll be ready to go. All right, so it's the next day. I came out here and I sanded it down and I finished it and cleaned it up real good, and now it's all finished. I didn't show that part on a video because I actually have another video on how to mix the treatment I use and how to apply it, and I will leave a link in the description box below on how to do that. You can go check out that video. And you saw me do a lot of sanding in other videos, so I feel I didn't need to record that part. So I just came out here, I took off all the clamps and stuff, sanded it down, treated it, and then I went with a very simple hanging design. Just a couple of these you can get at Lowe's or Walmart or anywhere. And it's all finished. It's dried, it's cured. It's ready to give to my wife for her birthday. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I know this was a longer video, but designing something like this and drawing out that by hand without using trace paper or a stencil or anything like that, it takes time. So I apologize for the long video, but I just wanted to make sure you saw all of it. And I try not to cut too much out. But it turned out great. I'm very happy with it. I've kind of sampled some spices and they fit in there real good. So I'll have some pictures at the end of this video of how it looks with hanging on the wall and then with the spices. But yeah, it's all done. I thank you so much. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video.